Liza. And this video is part of our assignment for food toxicology subject, and we were given a topic which is a barrier for toxin in human. So let's get started. So toxins, there are two classes of toxins, which are exotoxins, endotoxins. Exotoxins are those that are excreted by an organism, for example bufotoxin, and endotoxin are actually structurally part of a bacteria such as botulinum. So what is natural toxins? So natural toxin, according to WHO, is a toxic compound that are naturally produced as metabolic product by living organisms such as bacteria, plants and animals. So these toxins are not harmful to organisms themselves, but it will be harmful to other organisms such as human when we consume it. For example, when we consume the potato that have the potato sprouts, because the potato sprouts produce glycoalkaloids, and glycoalkaloids is natural toxins as it is a defense mechanism for the potato itself. So why does it produce toxin? So it produces toxin because in response to climate stress such as drought and extreme humidity, and also a defense mechanism against predators, insects or microorganisms. Okay, next, toxicant. So toxicant is slightly different from a natural toxin, because toxicant is actually man-made, which is made by humans, or that is put into the environment by human activities. For example, pesticides. And there are three classes of pesticides, which are insecticide, herbicides and also fungicides. So insecticides is pesticides that are mainly to kill the insects. Herbicides is pesticides that are made from herbs such as chilies, garlics, and the famous one is serai wangi. And also the last one is fungicides. So fungicides is actually the pesticides that are mainly to kill fungi.
We thought the detail about absorption of toxicant in our body. As we know, absorption is process of the substance that can be substance or toxic substance from outside into our body. So the absorption of toxic substance mostly happen at skin, lung and intestinal. So for toxicant to be able to absorb into our body, it must pass or cross the layer of cell or skin barrier. As we know, our body is covered by skin, and skin has cell membrane. The function of cell membrane is protecting our cell from outside, which means it prevents toxic substance for enter our body. This happen because the cell membrane is slightly permeable, because only certain substance are able pass through it. All toxicant able pass through our skin by precipitation. The rate of toxic substance be absorbed is depend on ability to penetrate catalyze outer layer of epidermis and physiochemical properties of toxic substance. In addition, the damaged outer layer of skin will enhance the toxic substance that we absorb into our skin. Once the substance diffuse into epidermis, it will be absorbed into bloodstream and it will carry into our body. You know, the absorption of toxicant substance can occur at lung. When we inhale the toxic gas, it will diffuse into the cell and it will absorb into bloodstream. The example of toxicant gas like carbon monoxide. Lastly, the absorption of toxic substance can take place from mouth to rectum. The absorption in gastrointestinal tract mostly occur at the small intestine. The absorption will continue occur if the food contains toxic substance remain in gastrointestinal tract for long period of time. Substance will absorb into our blood vessel and be transported into our body, and this happens because it very similar like nutrient and electrolyte. The storage of toxicant. The toxicant can be stored either in the target tissue or in the other tissue. The toxicant that fat soluble are easily absorbed into fat deposit throughout the body, where they may be stored for a long period of time. However, the water soluble toxicant will be excreted as urine. Liver is the major storage site for water insoluble toxic substance like heavy metal. In the bone, the calcium can be replaced by the toxic substance like lead, and it happens during between the blood and the bone. It happens because this substance has similar size and relative charge to calcium. However, lead is not toxic to our bone, and it can be released from the bone, but however, it will result in the nerve damage. Furthermore, cadmium and mercury can be absorbed by antigen support in our kidney. Once in the cell, they will bind to melatonin and it will result in the concentration of toxin in kidney and it will cause adverse effect. The kidney are able to store 10 times the amount of cadmium from in liver and it can be stored for 10 years or more. The bioaccumulation of this substance will causes kidney damage and complex renal failure. We thought the detail about effect of toxic on human system. As we know, many chemical or toxic substances are distributed in our body. For the some chemical can damage a cell or tissue that they contact, and the target organ are also affecting, and it may depends on the dose and the route of exposure. Like central nervous system may be targeted organ for toxic after the acute exposure occur. However, liver can be affected after the chronic exposure of toxin can directly affect subcellular component or can causes problem at cellular level. The chemical can causes damage like leading to fibrosis, disrupt the protein synthesis, produce DNA damage and changing in hormone signaling. Furthermore, some chemical may cause indirect damage like interfering the nutrient, alter physiology mechanism, and modify essential biochemical function can be affected, like inability to move, loss of feeling, and decrease of speech, size, memory, and muscle strength or coordination.
Why does the blood-brain barrier or BBB as a barrier for toxin against human? It is because unique features of the blood-brain barrier itself, which are tightly joined capillary endothelial cells, astrocytes, and also it has relatively low protein concentration in the interstitial fluids of the brain. As this low concentration protein will limit the amounts of toxicants. The blood-brain barrier itself is also surrounded by the protective fluids, which known as cerebrospinal fluid, and surrounded by protective membrane called meninges. Capillary endothelial cells of the blood-brain barrier are more closely arranged. Few or no pores exist. And the astrocytes is known as high lipid content that helps form an effective barrier, thus slowing the rate of movement of water-soluble molecules. And the hydrophobic cell membrane of the astrocyte itself slows or inhibits the passage of the toxicants. Permeability of the blood-brain barrier, which the permeability depends upon lipophilicity and size. So for small water-soluble molecules need specific carrier mechanisms to be transported against the blood-brain barrier. Okay, next. There are some metals that can be passed through against the blood-brain barriers, which are the essential metals. So these essential metals are like calcium, copper, molybdenum, magnesium, iron, zinc, cobalt. And why does it essential actually? So metals are essential because it requires for use to regulate the central nervous system, and it does not harmful at low concentrations. And they act also as catalyze, second messenger, and gene expression regulators. There are also some non-essential metals which are toxic, such as lead or plumbum, Pb, and also mercury. So these metals can lead to chemical neurotoxicities. These chemical toxicants not specifically destroy the morphology of the barriers, but it will alter the regulatory functions of the BBB itself. Example for mercury and plumbum, They can easily cross the blood-brain barrier and may be toxic even at low concentration. There are two ways for human being exposed to the mercury, which are the first one is occupational pressure to the vapor of metallic mercury, and the other one is exposure to methyl mercury such as from fish products. Lead can be toxicity. It will induce blood-brain barrier dysfunction. It can lead to brain swelling, ventricular compression, cerebral hemorrhage, and it is known to accumulate at this choroid plexus. So how does it alter? Is by reduces the TTR level, which TTR is a transthyretin gene. So this TTR is secreted by the choroid plexus, and it serves as a major thyroid hormone binding protein in the central nervous system. So this chronic sumbum exposure will selectively reduce the TTR levels and thus will alter the brain function.